All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday. Today we are talking about AI. We're going to try and comp some properties. We'll maybe talk about zoning and how to rezone things. We will talk about development, diving deep into a development, and how to look at subdivides versus entitlements, how to calculate if an entitlement is worthwhile and slash if it's even feasible. And also too, we'll throw in a little AI, potentially a little mini AI underwriting session in there as well. So today is going to be an awesome day. Happy Friday, and let's get after it. Good morning. Good morning.
Mm,
How are you doing, Maribel?
Good.
Hanging in there?
Yeah. I'm
Sound
underwriting.
tired.
So what?
Said you sound tired.
I keep on waking up at 6:40 for no reason every morning since, I don't know, 3 weeks. And I'm not a morning person. Like normally I make wake up at like 8:40. So I don't, it's like annoying. It's like it's good, but it's bad. Like it's good because I'm getting things done in the morning, which I never do. But it's also like I feel like when I wake up unusually early, it makes me tired.
I gotcha. I
Because I
gotcha.
still go to
Like
bed at
it.
like midnight. Like I'm more of
Yeah.
a night person.
More of a night owl.
Yes.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair. All
Um,
right.
it's hard. You're competing with pace this morning, so I'm not sure you're gonna have people, but I figured I'd
Oh,
pop
am
in
I?
here and support you're trying to do.
No. Oh
He
well.
decided to run an RV park
Oh, underwriting?
underwriting.
Well, I'm way more cool than that.
You already know how to underwrite an RV park.
I'm way more cool than that. That's all right. I was like, yeah, normally people are like popping on, especially like Friday normally is like one of the more popular ones. Wrong.
Uh,
Ousted. Oh well.
I'm trying to find the.
That's all right. Do you have any land questions?
I actually do have I mean I haven't had time to really look at these parcels. I'm trying to figure out where I put the information though. This is my organization issue.
Yeah. By the way, you're a big AI person. My plan was to kind of talk about AI a little bit today, but you see ChatGPT now released chat work.
Yeah, 'cause you know what? I never
Mhm.
moved myself to Claude. So
Oh,
I'm
you're
like
like,
that
sweet.
would be great. If I could do what's on Claude in chat because I never moved myself.
And
So
and here you are now.
so is it worth it? I
I
mean, is
don't
it
know. I
better?
literally just like literally just downloaded everything like maybe 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. Because I was like, oh, I saw this reel about somebody doing like talking about Chat GPT work, which is like Claude Cowork.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, they're stepping up their game here. So now let's see what they have. And in some ways I just figured I would download it and kind of mess around with it here today unless we on here because I know we were going to talk about AI today, or that was kind of the plan. But if you
Okay.
have other parcels, like let's go.
Yeah, so I haven't had time to really to like even analyze these,
That's all right.
but basically,
We'll do
I'm
it live.
working what?
So we'll do it live.
Do it live. So I'm working with Rob Burns. I don't know if you know him.
Rob
He,
Burns.
yeah.
I
I
don't
forgot
know him. I
one
haven't met
one
him
thing
yet.
I forgot to ask him is honestly what minimum, maybe you know, what minimum parcel size is needed. He wants to build mobile home parks for,
Okay.
he's a mobile home rehabber. And
Okay.
um and he was figured that that would be a good way to back into a mobile home park. He wants to build housing for adults with autism, which is what I want to do.
Oh,
His
sweet.
Pennsylvania has a waiting list for adults with autism for group homes of 11,000 people.
Holy
His son
cow.
is on that list, and he thinks that that'll never happen. So he's decided to just make the housing for himself for his son.
Okay. All right. I like it.
At this time,
Uh,
his budget is 30K to buy land. So I don't know if
okay.
any of these are suitable to make a mobile home park. They
This
might
one
be
is
too
pending.
small.
How,
I
how
don't
many
know.
does he want on there?
These are the details that I don't have.
Oh, okay.
So I just kind of want to know which parcels like worth pursuing further.
All right. Well,
Right.
let's check
But
it out.
he just told me his budget, and I was thinking, I really need to ask him other questions.
Yeah. 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 So this is actually perfect. This is perfect. Sorry, I'm getting everything going here this morning. Um,
Like, because I was thinking, like, I don't know how much land you need to build a mobile home park.
a mobile home park, right? So, well, let's break this down, right? So if you go mobile home park, right, what you're gonna end up looking at is density is gonna be like the biggest thing that you need to look at. So figuring out how much density you can have, meaning how many homes you can have per acre, per area, per whatever. Because if you're looking at something that's like 0.34 acres, or I think this one's zero point 0.4, zero point 0.4, 0.34, like 0.34 isn't very big. And they're probably not going to allow you to put like a ton of homes in there. Now there's this one, you have a lot of density in through here, which is good. That's a
Hmm.
good sign. However, look across the street here. All these are regular homes.
Single homes, yeah.
So when you start looking at development and the mobile home side of it, it's going to be really challenging to, or it's not going to, I shouldn't say it's really challenging. It's just another step that you have to look at is zoning and talking with the zoning committee and that kind of thing. So this one's going to be really small. So like you could maybe get one, maybe two on here. And just given how this side of the neighborhood is, I'm not sure you're going to get more than one on there.
Hmm.
Nor is it going to really fit in. These look like what we call stick-built homes, right? So that one probably not. Let me check this one. Where are we? All right. So you got a ballin' house over
Compound.
here.
It's like a compound over there.
What's that?
Looks like a family compound. Like it's
That looks like somebody's sweet house. They got a good setup over here. It looks like a little like garage and then the house and a little pool, little fire pit, little basketball court. Got it going on. All right. So if we look at this one, a lot of the same. These look maybe a little bit closer to manufactured homes because they're so small. Let's just take a peek at one. Nope, that is not a manufactured home. So that one, I do that every time. So that one might be kind of tough. Let's check this one. This one looks like same scenario, right? You get somebody who's gonna put a mobile home in here, and these neighbors are gonna be not happy with you. Not happy with you. Let's check this one. This one is pending already. This one is very sloped.
Sloped.
Yep. So one thing to look at when we look at sloping and sloped is essentially like if you want to drop a mobile home on here,
Uh,
hard to do that because it is sloped. And you can even tell from these photos that it's sloped. So this one's going to be really tough to do.
hmm.
So let's just play devil's advocate here. Let's go this one. Do you want to do this one or do you want to do this one? The one with the baller house right next to it.
Let's do that one.
This one?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy the address because we need to figure out what the zoning is. All right, so I'm just literally just gonna put this in, put the address in and say zoning, and let's see here. Google isn't helping us. All right, which is great because now we're gonna use AI. All right, so let me grab Chat GPT. Chat GPT, give me one second. Um, sorry, it's asking me some questions that I'm because I just installed the new version of it. Let's see here. All right. Let me stop my screen share and let me share chat. All right. Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, great. So I'm going to say what's zoning? What's the zoning for this parcel? We are looking at putting a mobile slash manufactured home on it. Please let us know all considerations for this project. And then I'll put the address in there. If you really want to take it to the next level, you can go in and you can also find the APN for this as well. So let me do that. And let me just see if we can make it even a little bit more next level.
Hmm.
All right, let's see here. So I'm gonna go to Land Insights here. Again, this is a free version of Land Insights. So you can go in here, click on this, and then I'm gonna snag this APN. Pretty easy. Oh, you guys can't see that. All you guys can see is my chat. Sorry.
That's fun. I have. I actually have acres.com that I used to get
Oh,
the
sweet.
parcel them.
There you go. Holy cow, chat's spitting out some stuff
There's
like
a lot
crazy here.
going on there.
Wow, that was crazy fast. All right, let's take a look at this. Looked at this parcel. Okay, so it's zoned residential. So oftentimes, depending on the county, right? So Lehigh County here is who we would end up calling on this. Normally when zoned residential, it's gonna be really hard to put more than one home on it. Normally you need to have multifamily and or some sort of essentially, yeah, here you go. R3 manufactured home residential district. There you go. It's even telling us what it needs. So that would be something to take a look at. The manufactured home could work potentially in some residential areas. However, it also too might need a like permit and other things associated with that. So just something to take a look at, I guess, really.
Hmm.
Let's see here. Washington Township has a separate R3 manufactured home district, but your parcel appears to be standard R residential district rather than R3. Does not automatically prohibit a manufactured home, but it means you'll need to verify whether the manufactured homes are permitted for it, prohibited, all that stuff. So, so this brings up essentially like the zoning concern, and that's the big thing that I would start like that's going to be your first like barrier or your first hurdle that you have to get over. Can you change zoning? Yes, you can change zoning. However, sometimes that can be very challenging and difficult depending on where it is. So if it's in a nice neighborhood and that county has rules and regulations where if you go zoning, you have to have a public hearing, that's going to be really challenging and tough to do. Not saying it's impossible, it's just harder to do. If you go to a county where it is just a committee, like think of it like the local town or local county committee, you can kind of state your case and see if that works as well, right? So there's a little bit different way that you can do that. And that might be a little bit better of an opportunity to be able to change the zoning, but still something that will be a little bit more challenging. Just because anytime you change zoning, it's going to be a little bit more complicated, a little bit more time intensive, and probably a little bit more money. Nothing significant, but a little bit more money. Um, so that is kind of zoning, the zoning piece of it, which is probably going to be the biggest hurdle. If you're building a mobile home park, it probably needs to be in a manufactured home residential district or multifamily or commercial, or sometimes there's some weird other zones that you can get for mobile home parks. But in general, it has to be a higher density housing zoning. And that all depends on county. So per county, every county is a little bit different. Um, okay, this is just telling you a little bit more about kind of diving deeper into due diligence of it. Before you close, overall assessment. Yeah. So that would be something really to, I guess, take a look at. We can kind of all kind of briefly talk through a few of these things about like mobile homes and manufactured homes. Zoning, certainly permitting, yes. The biggest thing also too is going to be utilities,
Mm,
right? So if it's in the city and it has public sewer, awesome. If it's out in the sticks and it doesn't have public sewer or water available, then you have to go on a septic system and a well. And so
mm,
when you start looking at that, there's additional costs potentially up front for those, but you're not paying a monthly fee to use the water if you're on a well, or you're not paying a monthly fee for sewer if you're on a septic system. So
mm,
pros and cons, but that's something when you start looking at like development costs that needs to definitely be calculated in, because if not, you can go over budget real quick. The sewer or excuse me, the septic and the well also too need to have permits be pulled and permits approved. And so that also too will take time, energy, effort, money to do so. So another piece of it, it's not as easy as just, oh, I'm gonna buy this land and then like a week later I'll drop a home on it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. I wish it did. That'd be sweet.
mm,
Um, let's see here. Utilities, electric as well, right? Pulling electric and gas. Um, pulling that from the city, that'd be wonderful. Some internet if you want, but now we have other things like Starlink if you don't want to do any of that. Buildable area. So this is a really valid point. When we look at buildable area, one thing that we want to look at is is how, okay, you have zero point 0.4 acres, but how much of that actually are you able to actually build on, right? So, like, let me pop back to Land Insights here real quick. So here's your parcel, right here.
mm,
And hi Camilla. And so anyways, what we're looking at is, okay, what if only this small portion of it is actually buildable, right? Now you have to force your home to be put on here because it doesn't get the right soils, it doesn't have the right drainage field, it doesn't have the right spot for a well. Now at zero point 0.4 acres, that you're going to be really crowded to try and get like a well and septic system in. So this probably is like a bad example of it. Hey Jeff. And so this is probably a really bad example of like a well and septic system like setup, because it's more than likely going to be at the street. But buildability is a really big thing to also look at. And if you look at like a
mm,
parcel, but only a portion of it can actually be built on, that can
mm.
be really, really challenging. Let me give maybe a better, here, let's use this one as maybe a better example. And I'm gonna throw this at you guys here real quick. Let me see if I can find better parcel. All right, we'll just use this one right here. All right, so we'll use this one right here. What you're seeing in the overlay here is what's called a soil map. And so soil, we're diving deep here on Friday, so buckle up here. All right. So soil maps. Essentially, when you start looking at development, you have to look at the soils and what the soils are good at. So you can kind of see down here, right? You can see if it's worth investigating or whether it looks fine. Flooding, ponding, drainage class, water table depth, dominant slope, bedrock depth. All these things are really important to know because you can build in some soils and you can't build in other soils. So, for example, let's just say you can't build, ignore this house. Let's say you can't build in this soil type right here. All right. So now all of a sudden, this portion of the soil and this portion of your parcel is totally unbuildable. That becomes really challenging and really tough now because now you have to move things over, right? So say the person wanted the house right back here. Well, the soils don't test well and they don't test good enough in order to be able to build there. You're kind of SOL, right? You can't build there. You're going to have to build in somewhere over here in this soil type, right? Or in this soil type right in here. So soil types can be really tricky. And when you're starting to look at development, there's a lot more moving pieces besides just like, let's put a mobile home on it and call it good. It can be super, super complicated and complex. That's why, like, if you're going to do that, I would definitely try and partner with somebody who's familiar with development, who's done development before, in order to be able to try and learn those pieces, those key pieces like soil tests, septic systems, if you're going to go that route, or if it has to go that route, um, electric, gas lines, all that stuff, right? Is it on propane or is it on natural gas? Where, how close can you put propane? How far can you put propane? Does the propane need to be underground or can it be, or is it up top? Normally it's up top, but you get my picture, right? Is that there's a lot of different things that you have to really take into consideration when you start building on a parcel. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit, Maribel?
Yeah.
Okay. Because the soil types can be really challenging. Getting like a mobile home on like a small piece like this and getting multiple is going to be really hard. A parcel like this maybe would be a little bit better. But even in say, let's say you want to do a development. All right, let's say you want to develop a mobile home park, and this is just for kicks and giggles. All right, so here's a mobile home, right? Here's a mobile home. I'm just making this up, by the way. Here's another mobile home, right? And so you're going to put all these mobile homes on them. So we have all these mobile homes. How are we supposed to get to them? We probably need a road, right?
Road access.
Yeah. All of a sudden we need a road that kind of comes in through here so we can service all of these mobile homes. So
Hmm.
road in here, mobile home in here. And once you start building this out, right, getting the hookups and teeing off, or like, let me back up. Building that road out costs money.
Hmm.
Running the electric, sewer, water down that road costs money.
Hmm.
And then you have to tee you essentially tee them off, right? So, or let me go like that. And you like tee it off, right? So if the road is coming up this way, and then all of a sudden you're jetting up to each different one, right? Teeing off, that's not a super hard to do, but it just takes time and money. And so being able to get something like that, and even putting like 5 mobile homes on a parcel like this, even though like you have a whole bunch more, the cost adds up quickly. So that's another challenge of mobile home parks. And then, of course, there's once they're built, it's not Field of Dreams, unfortunately. So if you build it, they will come. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. right? So doing that location check is super important. If you're going for something like what you're talking about, Maribel, where it's it's more like mobile home park for like autism and other things like that, and there's a huge waiting list. Sweet, then maybe you can fill them right away, right? That doesn't seem to be an issue if you have a huge waiting list. That's great. But now you just have the cost of all the mobile homes, cost of the road, cost of development, potentially going down that entire path.
Right.
Not saying it's impossible, because it's totally possible. You just have to find the right parcel in the right area. I think that's a big challenge with development, especially in something like a mobile home park. Another thing to think about, so we talked about kind of driveway placement, excuse me, right in through here. The other thing that we haven't talked about is making sure that it's not in a wetlands. It's not in, doesn't have water. Looks like there's a nice creek maybe back there, and it's not in a flood zone. So this parcel in particular, not in a flood zone, right? But if you have, of course, this area doesn't have like any flooding. Here you go. Here's a little bit of a flood zone. But see, you can kind of see how this all of a sudden now goes from green grass, and all of a sudden you have a bad spring flood, and all of a sudden it can be flooded, right? So now you can't use this portion of it, and they're going to be really strict about that. So now, you just dropped one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 mobile homes that you can't put on this parcel anymore. So you just decreased it by 10. So a few different things to kind of take a look at for that. The only other piece too that I would really look at is slope. And we kind of already talked about slope just super vaguely
Hmm.
in the sense that, that one parcel was like on a grade there. Um, Mobile homes like flat ground. It's easiest and cheapest to put it on flat ground. This looks like fairly flat ground here. There's 30 feet between here and here. So it looks like it's fairly flat. Much, much, much easier to put a mobile home on something like that versus like here. See how these topographical layers are kind of compressed
Hmm.
versus then they kind of space out over here. Harder to put them on a slope like this, easier to put them on something like this. Let's see here. What else do we need to talk about for that? Those are kind of like the big ones. There's other things like stormwater permits and stuff like that and foundations. But that's really deep once you're diving deep into the rabbit hole of of development. So,
Know people that do a lot of like, do you have builders and developers that you work with?
um, I don't have any like particular builders and developers right now. I mean, I know of a few people. I mean, I'm friends with a few developers, and they're kind of like, yeah, if you find something, let me know, and I'll see if maybe we can partner on it, kind of thing. But I don't have anyone that I'm particularly like going out and specifically hunting for, so to speak. So like, I'm not like, hey, this person said that they wanted it in this county, they want this square footage, and they'll build it at this price.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily go after that, which is another like land strategy all in its own. So where
Hmm.
you can just straight sell to developers and you can call like small infill lots like this, like the one that we were kind of talking about. You can just call this lot all day long and just see if you can get it under contract. Say what was that one? What was it? Third 25,000? 25,000 for this one, right? And say the developer will pay up to 40,000. Or
Hmm.
say they know like 30,000. Say they'll pay up to 30,000 for a lot like this, right? And it's 25,000 right now. Yes, that's 5,000, but then you have agent commissions because it's on market. You have closing costs and all that, right? And so that's going to eat into your profit a little bit. So say you need to get this for like 20,000 or 15,000,
Hmm.
right? And if you get it for 15,000 and then you sell it to your developer for 30,000, yes, there's a net of $15,000 profit. However, most likely that's actually probably looking more towards probably 5 to 7,000 once you get all the closing costs and everything like that. But there are people who like that is literally their entire business model is just going after smaller infill lots and going after, hey, I have all these builders that I built relationships with. I know what they want. I know their price point, and I'll just go and call all these properties until somebody says yes. And then once somebody says yes, then I'll just flip it over and develop and send it right to my developer and they'll buy it.
Hmm.
So there are business models that work like that. I don't necessarily particularly do that just because that's a big volume game. Um, and also too, just it's um it's just a different game. It's not necessarily bad, better or worse. It's just a different game versus, I go after larger parcels. And so those larger parcels, I tend to sell more on the MLS. So profit margins can sometimes be bigger on those versus on a smaller parcel, right? You might get $5,000 versus, another one might be $25,000. So it's just a different game. And also too might take me 5 times as long to get the bigger parcel as it is to get the smaller one, right? So it might end up breaking or netting even between the two. It's just different models and different like work, different
Hmm.
ways to work, different businesses.
So your buy box is to get larger parcels in a particular area. What are you doing? What is your budget?
Yeah. So I'll look at anything, right? So like if you were to come in here and you're saying, hey, Sam, I have this seller, it's direct to market, it's like off market, it's direct to seller. Um, they want to sell their land. Can you help me? Yes, of course I can, right? I'll take smaller parcels like this too. I'm not going to like turn them away unless it like really doesn't make sense. I had somebody bring a $5,000 parcel the other day, and I was like, well, $5,000, it's gonna take how much effort to get there? I'm gonna profit like $1,000, $500. Probably
Hmm.
not worth the time, energy, effort for it. Ideally, what I try and look at is 2 or more acres and ideally larger parcels. Um, I really enjoying the subdivide space. So where essentially I'm taking a larger parcel and breaking it up into smaller pieces to make it more affordable for a lot more buyers to get their hands on a piece of land that they own.
Hmm.
More than likely right now, if you have a piece of land that's $400,000, or it's 40 acres, $400,000, right? So it's $10,000 an acre. Not as many, I should say, not as many people can afford the $400 piece of land.
Hmm.
But if I break it up into 4 10-acre parcels and it's say 150,000 per parcel, a lot more people can afford 150,000 over 400,000. So when you go into the subdivide space, which is what I'm really enjoying and what I'm moving more and more towards, is you can go into like you can make that a little bit more affordable for people to get their own kind of slice of land and get a little bit of room and breathing space.
Hmm.
So bottom line, I will take a look at just about anything. I'm not gonna turn you guys away for anything or, say it unless, I'll give you my honest opinion on it. If it's $5,000 parcel, it's probably not gonna be worth anyone's time unless that $5,000 parcel is worth like 20,000, right? Um, in that case, obviously I'll tell you and we'll work together on it. But otherwise, though, I like the bigger parcels myself. So I like larger parcels, larger projects, either larger flips or large or subdivides, either or. Subdivide, the biggest thing is acreage and then road frontage. So the more road frontage that a parcel can have, the better. Yeah. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit? Okay. Sweet. Any other questions, Maribel? Been firing some good stuff today.
My friend does have, I have a friend that does have a parcel. It's small.
Okay.
I don't want to monopolize your Zoom if other people have questions, so maybe check with them. I don't know.
Until somebody else raises their hand, it's all you. So fire away.
I don't have I can't remember the full address, but this will get you to the area,
Okay.
and then I can explain like the situation.
Sure. Let's check it out. All right.
I can't I can't remember the exact address, but it's if you then like kind of go to a Google map. So north east of that point, there's like this development there. And she has one of the lots there. It was inherited. Um her her
Like
dad
up through here.
yeah, her dad bought it and then he passed away. I think
Mm.
it's this one on there's like a kind of a circle, like a loop. Oh, I can't. Yeah, see there's a house?
This one?
No, right in the
This one.
north of that. There's
This
another
one.
now in the
This one. This
center of
one.
that one. It's the lot to the right.
I was gonna get it eventually. This one.
I don't remember the address exactly.
Right in here. Like
Yeah,
this
so her
one.
father bought this. He's passed away, so now it's been passed on to them. They like
Okay.
live in Hawaii,
Nice.
so it's like, far from them. They're not going to do anything with it.
Yeah.
Um, I think, they want to find a seller, the right seller to sell to it.
Is that it?
The situation is that I think they never built that actual road there, like your
Yeah, it doesn't
street.
look like it.
So I think anybody who wants to buy this land would have to figure out road access, and that's expensive, I think.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about that. That's access issues. Um, so it looks like this was a development,
Yeah.
and it looks like somebody essentially got this piece of land entitled where they could get a whole bunch of different parcels on it, right? With the goal of building a subdivision, right? A little piece of land and community. So, this is the challenge when you buy something that hasn't had a road put in yet, right? So, this developer sold all the lots. I don't know what happened here, but essentially they sold all the lots or sold this a portion of them or some of them. It looks like they sold pretty much most of them. Uh, And now these people are hosed because they can't legally or physically get to the property, right? So now this piece of land that maybe once upon a time, I don't know, they say it's assessed at 10 grand. Once upon a time, this piece of land maybe was worth 50,000, right? When the development was going in, maybe he sold it for 50,000. I'm totally making up numbers. I have no idea. And now, because he never built out these roads, you can't legally get there. And so it will drop the value significantly, right? This piece of land, yes, it says that the assessed value is 10,000. I think you'd have a hard time even selling it for like three.
Mm.
The main reason being it's smaller, right? So it's half acre, but you're like, man, half acre for like $3,000, that seems like pretty decent price, right? However, you can't get to it. So you literally can't do anything with it without trespassing, right? Because this road right in through here never went in. If that road went in, it would be a different story because now all of a sudden you have access, you have physical access to the property, right? The, I guess I would be really
That road came in, but it's that offshoot that isn't there because I
right
think the other
here.
way to access the land, yeah, that route, is to go through this other person. You need an easement from this guy
Mhm.
with the house.
Yep. This
So,
one or this one, right?
yeah,
So
it's the offshoot road that never went in, the one that's actually, the lot has frontage.
yeah. It has road frontage right here.
Yeah.
Road frontage.
But that road
Road
goes,
frontage.
but the other road is there
This
to the
one.
house, that goes to that house.
Yeah. It looks like this one is here, right? So there is access in through here. Now, the real interesting question, I don't know the answer to this, is could you theoretically walk through the woods on here? Somehow make sure that you don't go into other people's property and then access your parcel? Maybe. Maybe. But who's gonna do that? Who's gonna be like, hey neighbor, don't mind me. I'm just gonna sleuth around your house and then wrap around in through the middle of the woods and jump over trees and then make sure, oh, by the way, there's my piece of land. It's only half an acre. Um, like what are you gonna do on what are you gonna do on that half acre? I don't know. But this is a very interesting like development because clearly I want to say the developer kind of hosed some people, but essentially the developer might have kind of screwed some people over. Oh yeah, we're gonna build this grand old thing, and this is gonna be great, and making. Oh yeah, no, get your parcels ahead of time because you never know. They'll be snatched up in a minute, and then once the most of the parcels sell, just says peace, I'm out, and stops the development. Right? I don't know if that's a story behind it. But it's certainly something to look at when you start, if you're going to buy in a subdivision similar to this, right? You want to make sure that if you're going to buy a piece of land that will be pseudo landlocked, right? You want to make sure that that road is in there and you can physically access and legally access the road. That's what I would say is something that's like super important because right now it looks like you can legally access it potentially through here, but I'm not sure if you can physically make it through.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It looks like all of these, this Steve Lin dude just bought up a whole bunch of them.
Steve Lynn seems to have bought a lot.
Yeah,
But
he
I don't
must
know
have thought that this thing was gonna go gangbusters.
so I don't know.
Bermuda,
Mhm.
interesting. North Miami owners. There's more Steve Lin. Yeah. So Steve Lin must have thought that this was gonna go crazy or something. I don't know. Or he thought he was gonna make a fortune. Canada. People from all over. Clearly, it was more of a Michigan, North Carolina, kind of going all through. Man, Steve Lynn, all over the place. All right. Another Hawaii. Cool. Jeff, did you have a question about this or about
Y-
something else?
Yeah, about this, I was wondering, so since this development didn't actually happen, is there a way that
Mhm.
you can actually take it over and make it happen?
Yes, you could. You certainly could. The challenging piece, though, is that all these people already own all this property.
So there's no benefit for you doing that, is what you're saying.
Well, you
Okay.
probably
Un-
buy all of
unless they're gonna hire me to build all their houses. Or else then
Okay.
like you're putting probably, I mean, to get a road just back to this like subject property, right? To get this back through here, that's probably going to be 200 grand
Just to that one lot.
because you're going to have to clear things that are
Hmm.
probably very overgrown. You're going to have to go out there and get a surveyor out there to mark literally where the road is going. and you're gonna have to hire tree trimmers and land clearers for that because it looks like this is overgrown, right? This surveyor is gonna look at this and go, "Holy cow, this is a very technical job. I gotta look at this road. I have to kind of plant all the way out, right, just to go to here." So that's going to cost quite a bit. Land clearers, so clearing the land in the area, then being able to pull the pipes and pull all the utilities through there. And then you're going to finally be able to grade the road, and then you're going to have to pave it.
I think
Or maybe you just keep it gravel, but either way, right, you're going to have to build out that road. It's just very, very cost prohibitive. That's why I think this is very peculiar that like this all this land got sold before the road because mo it's kind of backwards. Most of the time they put in the road first because or else then the value of these lots go to like nothing,
Hmm.
which is what we're seeing now,
I think
unfortunately.
that road is actually in. It's
This
that
one?
that road is in because there's that house there. This is like a manufactured house that's on that lot. This that road is in. I don't um and then it's this other road that's not like that one. Because there's this square here. There's like a manufactured home there. So I think they can get to their house. So you'd have to get an easement from them to like
Interesting.
access the parcel. Because the road stops at their house, I think.
Oh, no, not that one. Let's see here. And I feel like my eyes are getting old, but it's not that. It's just grainy. Maybe it does look like there's a little bit of a road there. Okay, sweet. So if there's a road there, awesome. Then all you have to do is
Just
just kind
get
of
the
pull it
road.
around here.
I mean, it still doesn't have a road in yeah, like that road has to be put in, which would still cost a lot of money. Like, so-
It looks like at one point there was maybe like a road in through here, actually. But it's so hard to tell because everything's kind of overgrown, right? Because doesn't this kind of look like a road?
yeah, it looks like yeah, maybe a dirt road or something. It was never paved.
Yeah, certainly never paved.
I don't remember the. She probably did tell me the history of it, but I don't remember all the details of like what happened. Um,
Well, here, let's do this. Let's do some more sleuthing, shall we? All right. Oh, darn. I was hoping we were gonna get lucky and get the Google car and be able to like, oh yeah, check it out. All right, let's look at this then. So it shows a little kickoff here, but I mean the road seemingly disappears here, picks up again here, and then stops certainly there. This doesn't look like any semblance of a road was in through here, does it?
mm,
Maybe once upon a time, maybe like right here.
maybe.
The cul-de-sac maybe right here, or am I just kind of seeing things? Maybe a cul-de-sac there, and maybe the road kind of kicked around here. But man, that looks pretty dang overgrown to me because here's that property, that house is right here. So the one that we were talking about is like right here. I'm sure this house has a road to here because I imagine that they have to get there somehow. So there's probably a road that goes through here. So it might not be super cost prohibitive for them to try and get that. Them being, I'm assuming Wendy, for Wendy to try and get that. But I just feel like that would be like it does not look like there's a road recently.
Yeah, I mean, for one day, so her dad bought it. He passed away. She inherited
Yeah.
this land, but they live in
Yeah.
Hawaii. They're just never going to do anything with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think they They explored trying to sell it, but because of it being kind of landlocked like that, it sort of didn't really go anywhere.
Well, I mean, the value tanks,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but like the value just tanks of it just because it's that landlocked component of it, right? Are there people who are in the land space who literally specialize in this kind of thing? Yes, for sure. But for having them take on a 0.65 acre, you're probably going to have to run some sort of road into here, at least road into, the first like 50 feet or so, right? So that might not be terribly expensive, right? To have somebody just kind of clear cut this and then clear cut a little section in here so then you actually have access to it. Maybe not inherently a bad thing. However, it's gonna be cost. And is the juice worth the squeeze is the real question. Um, I don't know. Let's see. Well, there's somebody's house for 2.6. Let's see here. So it's kind of like right up here, correct? Yeah, mountain shadows. Okay, let's see if anything was sold up here. I mean, here's lot 23 and 24 sold for 10,500. Has the road access right there. That's not a that's not a good sign for getting any sort of money out of that parcel because that's double the price and it sold fairly quickly, 4 months.
Mm.
But that was also double those on the main road here. It looks like these two parcels together. So, I mean, that's a really good comp, right?
Hmm.
It's in the same neighborhood, which is great.
Yeah.
Uh, Property type. Interesting. They put lots and land, but then there's a picture of a house on it. All right, whatever. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, I'm not sure. That'd be a hard one. And here's like zero point 0.7
Or
acres.
2000.
Storage unit?
A storage unit for 2000.
Must be, yeah, it must be that you buy. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Must be that you buy the storage unit or something. But yeah, the some of the comps is just going to be really challenging. That piece of land is probably not going to be worth a whole heck of a lot. Couple grand, maybe. But I don't know. I mean, if your friend has some questions too, I'm happy to obviously talk to him as well. I mean,
Mhm.
it's more just a matter of, and I can, kind of explain why, the value would be potentially what it would be. The other piece of it too is if they want to try and get as much as they can for it, they can go and try and list it with a realtor as well,
Mhm.
with an agent as well. I'm just not sure with that low of a price point. I don't mean to be negative, but I'm not sure that that agent is going to be super pumped about selling that land. They're not going to really be pushing super hard about that. They're going to say, "Yeah, I'll take that listing," and then they'll just put it on the MLS and do nothing with it unless somebody calls. So, just because if you're listing it for under 10 grand, like their commission is going to be a couple $100.
Yeah, it's not worth your time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you have properties that you're getting commission into the thousands versus if you get one that's $200, like, which one are you going to try and go after a little bit harder? Probably the couple $1,000 one or the multi-$1,000 one versus the $200 one. But sweet. Any other questions on that parcel or anything in general? Anything else? Guys are
So if you actually were to take this over and to do this whole development, let's say that the same person owned all of these lots.
hmm
Would that be a good play actually to say, oh, I'll buy all of these lots and I'll develop this out and then get it at a discount? So essentially, if every lot was owned by the same person, you just take over the plans, would that actually make sense to do? Because you have multiple owners on this currently, so it's like it doesn't make any sense to do that.
Yeah,
But if you
like a
have the same
theoretical.
owner, yeah,
Yeah, theoretical. Yeah, certainly could be. I mean, what this tells me already is that because it's plotted out like this and there's streets and it's already kind of like, I don't want to say it's done. It essentially has been entitled, which means that the
yeah, yeah,
city
exactly.
has agreed to this plan and they have legally changed the description and created APNs for all these different parcels. So somebody put a lot of time, energy, effort, and money into this. And so as a developer, like if this developer is like, hey, I just got this all done, sold a couple of the lots to houses right here and here, but the rest of the lots are I own and I just want to move on to a different project. If you're a developer, yeah, 100%. It's then just a matter of price point and like the game that you want to play, right? So like, will it make sense? Will it pencil? Um, if you're putting $200,000 houses on, you got to get these lots for like a grand a piece, right? Because now all of a sudden you have costs to build the houses, infrastructure for the road. It becomes really, you have to take into account all the road infrastructure
Mhm.
into each parcel's price, in each parcel that you build's price. So the economics of it is really what's gonna like be the driver of this, right? Of if this makes sense. Because can you find people to do this? Yeah, 100%. But if somebody's going to take on a big project like this, they want to make a significant amount of money or at least something where they feel like it's worth it to them. That's where like when you start getting to low income housing and like let's say this is low income housing. I have no idea if it is or isn't, right? But let's just say this is low income housing. The economics of low income housing are harder because you have lower price points and you're trying to like let's say this road to get all of this done and paved is I'm just going to throw it out there. Let's say it's $500,000 to get the whole road done and paved. You have to split that $500,000 by all of these lots and you have to increase that price. Say there's 50 lots here. We'll just make it really easy, okay? Say there's 50 lots here, right? So it's $10,000 per lot in order to get that road even into place, right? So now if you're selling those lots at $10,000 a piece, you're literally making $0 on the land, which wouldn't make sense, right? You'd
Yeah.
have to sell them for 12, 15, 20,000, $25,000 a piece. Ideally something higher. Let's take it now, flip it to the other side of the coin. And now let's say you're doing a luxury development, right? Let's say this is a super sought after place. All these homes are going to be $2 million plus, right? And if you can get, and it costs you $500,000 to build the road, is that $10,000 per lot going to be like a significant hurdle? Probably not. Somebody buying a $2 million house, I would hope, is probably not going to flinch at a $10,000 lot price increase, right? In order to build that road. They'll be happy to pay that in order to get that road paved and accessible and look really good. And so you can spread it out over those houses where it's more of like on the luxury side. It's much easier for the buyer to main to like it's much easier for the buyer because they don't mind that price difference versus when you go to like a low income, that $10,000 can be a make or break for somebody who's looking to buy the house. Does that make sense? I feel like I worded that very poorly, but does that kind of make a little bit more sense?
Totally. Yeah.
Just like splitting it up between all the different houses. If you have a higher demographic and the cost is at a fixed spot, it just makes it easier, the higher price point on the houses, because people aren't going to look at that as much, right? Think about it like in the housing market, right? People who look at $1 million homes, right? Say that, you have a population of, we'll say 5 million people. And of that 5 million people, only 500,000 of those people actually can afford $1 million+ home, right? Versus if you go and you look at like out of those 5 million people and you have a three or $250,000 home, well, now you have probably of the 5 million, now you have 4 million buyers who can afford that home, right? So your demographics of how many people can buy goes significantly up when you go the lower price point. But once you get to that lower price point, every dollar makes a bigger difference proportionally compared to like a higher demographic area where 1 million to 1.3 million to 900,000, like it's all, I don't want to say it's all the same, but in general, like on your mortgage, the difference is going to be a couple $100. It's probably not going to break the bank for somebody who's looking at $1 million house. Does that make sense? So just your
Yeah.
dollar stretch when you start getting into like lower income and like lower, I don't want to call it lower income, lower priced housing. It just like that dollar has to stretch further versus like a more of like a luxury build. Like if these were all $2 million homes, $10,000, more than likely people are not gonna bat an eye at a $10,000 lot premium increase.
What do you think would be the cost to get this development to the state that it's in? So cost of like development of the plans and then also a time frame.
Oh, it is sloped like crazy. Hmm. So I look at slope right away,
Okay.
because things that are more sloped cost more to build on. Because you have to build supports and you have to get engineering perfectly right, right? And so sometimes you have to get actually all the time if you build on a slope, you have to get supports and joists that are perfectly accurate versus if it's a flat ground, you can just plop it right on the ground.
Mhm.
So that also presents, yes, is it more beautiful? Yes. Can you have the beautiful scenic views out into the mountain? Yes. However, it's also much more expensive to build on a slope. So I'm not good at guessing any of that because I'm not
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
development world. I don't
Okay,
even
all
want to
right.
try and take a stab at it because
Yeah.
it would be me literally taking a stab at the dark. I wish I could tell you, but even a developer would say, well, it depends. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Things I do know though is what the developer looks at and what costs more money and what costs less money, right? Because that's where I am in the land side is I do know what affects the value of land versus what decreases the value of land, both up and down. And so, like, slope can be really good, but also can be really bad, especially like in a development like this. It's probably like it increases the price of building, which also too can kind of decrease the price of the land because just the economics around getting that built is different.
Hmm. Okay.
And it all changes once you go into a luxury home buyer because they don't care. They don't care nearly as much because they want that view and they'll pay for it. So area makes a huge difference. Slope makes a huge difference. Water features make another really, really big difference. So like this creek back here, if this is, say this is the high ground and everything flows down into the creek, which I'm assuming because here also is another creek. So I'm assuming that's kind of a mountaintop. Let's see if I was 33. Yep. Yeah. So here's kind of the top of the mountain, if you will. Right. And then it kind of flows down because you have 32 and 34, 33 and 31, right? So kind of the top of a mountain here. So everything flows down through there. So yes, you will get the scenic view, and then you can potentially see a water feature that can potentially drive value up. But it also too, though, costs more money to develop. So it's kind of like a teeter-totter. And that's where you have to know if it's a luxury area, versus not. So if it's a luxury area, right, they might not necessarily care as much. But if these houses here, like these don't look like multi-million dollar homes, just in general. I don't
Hmm.
mean that to be mean, but they just don't look like multi-million dollar homes, right? They're small and they have a lot of cars and stuff around. Not normally what we're looking at with multi-million dollar homes. So that tells me that this price point is going to go down because it's not in a luxury or nice neighborhood. A lot of nuances around that, a lot of nuances in terms of like how to figure out if it's up or if it's down. And I think that's why so many people have trouble in the land space trying to figure out what land is worth or don't know how to comp it or whatever that may be. Because once you get into the development side, things can go drastically up or drastically down, depending on what's being built there and what's being built around it. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. I know that's kind of a it depends answer. And really it just depends on like what the best or what the really, not even what the best, but what the use of the property is going to be, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
It's a luxury home that can normally increase the value. If it's affordable housing, normally decreases the value. Just because people want to live in nicer neighborhoods and they don't want to live in lower neighborhoods. Just the nature of the beast. So good questions though, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I have another question unless someone else wants to, I don't know.
Fire.
Okay, great. So I found a property in Kaukauna, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Uh,
Right down the
let's
road.
see.
Love it.
So the number that was associated with it is 321-064-500.
Is that the APN?
No, I don't think this is the APN. I didn't have an APN on this. This is just the parcel number is what they had. Do you
Oh,
want
okay.
the actual it's on Zillow.
Okay.
So
Are you
it's
comfortable sharing that?
West Ducharme,
Hold
Ducharme
on.
Street.
Hold on. West Help me out.
ARARME.
Arne? Ducharme
ME. M is in monkey. Yeah. Ducharme. Yeah, that looks right. Yep.
Street.
Street,
And then where did you say that was again?
Kaukauna. So
Kaukauna.
Kaukauna, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin and all their vowel use. All right. Cool. All right, so it's somewhere along here,
So
huh?
it's on Zillow. Maybe we can find a more accurate because it's right there. It's that parcel that's all those trees. There it is. Yep.
This one?
That's it. Hmm.
Let's check it out. This one. Okay. All right. What's your question around it?
Okay, so there's a subdivision right next to it. The way it's built out, I was like, you could actually duplicate that with this parcel. So you could actually just have a road go in with a little with a little turnaround and then
Hmm.
build out lots throughout this whole place because it's about 9 acres. And I think it's sufficient size to be able to do like 0.3 acre lots.
Love it. All right. Uh, sorry. Struggling here. Give me one second.
You're good.
I'm trying to pull it up in Land Insights because that's just a little bit easier. Sure. We'll go there. Let's see here. There it is. Right here. All right. All right. So what's your question on it?
So I was wondering if it would actually make sense to build this into a subdivision. Obviously, I'd have to go through the process of entitlement,
Hmm.
but with the acreage that you have and also the values of home, lots that are around, I'm like, this actually would make sense because you could actually get quite a few 0.3 acre lots uh, in there. I mean, you would have to clear the land because of, trying to build it out, but I thought it might be a good play if you're, let's say you're building out like 20 or 30 lots.
Yeah. Let's see here. Why is this not pulling up? So certainly, certainly can. Let's see here. What county is this in? I don't know why Land Insight's kind of freaking out on me. Outagami. Outagami.
Origami.
Weird. There's only one Outagami in the whole US. Weird. All right, there we are. All right. So it is right there. I don't know why it's not pulling up the parcel super well. Okay. So essentially your thought process is build something similar to this, right? Where essentially it'll come
Correct, yeah.
in, then have a little cul-de-sac, and essentially you'd have houses all along it. Correct.
Yes. Hmm.
Cool. So are you asking about feasibility or are you asking about next steps, how to figure that out?
Well, if that would actually make sense to look at this piece of land and say, oh, I can make a development out of this. I could get it entitled. I could get, because utilities aren't too far away. So I thought, oh, well, that should be pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it's in the center of town. So, uh, yeah, kind of the process you'd think through if you were actually going to develop this out yourself.
Yeah. So my thought process. So what I would look at is, okay, here's my parcel. I don't know why the lines aren't pulling up super strong, but you guys know where it is here. Here's my
Hmm.
parcel. First thing I would ask would be, okay, we have enough road frontage, right? We can draw that kind of street in here. We can kind of see that it has a little kind of lollipop at the end here, right? My next question would be, what is it zoned currently? And then what would I need it to be zoned? So these are all questions for like the zoning committee or planning and zoning within Ottawa County. All right. I would then ask, what's the process for getting it rezoned? Because I'm assuming that's going to need to be rezoned. And what's the process for entitlement on it? The main thing being is that there's going to be a lot of different things down the road that you'll need to look at and talk about. The parcel itself might be 200, was it 300K, 200K, 300K,
Yeah, yeah.
300? The other thing that you're going to want to look at is cost for a road, cost for utilities, all that piece of it, and see what a developer would consider paying for the lots. So if you were going to go on here, now it pulls up all nice. All right. So if you're going to pull up lots, right, and you go, okay, I'm going to have, I don't know why my thing is, here we go. If you're going to go, okay, let's see if I can refresh that. It's kind of, there we go. Give me a hard time. All right. So if you're going to go, I'm going to have a road that comes in through here. I'm gonna do my little lollipop and then here. All right. So there's your road. The next thing you're going to look at is, hey, hey, county or city, depending on whose jurisdiction this is. I want to build here. what's the minimum road frontage that I will need if I go and build my own parcel here, right? Can I do a 0.46 or do I have to do like these little skinny minis in here, little 0.27, right? So the next piece that I would also look at is minimum lot size, setbacks. Those are going to be other things to kind of take a look at. So a setback, do you know what a setback is?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. So for those who don't know, or if people are watching this later, essentially from the road, you have to go so many feet back from the road before you can build. Think of it like, you don't see houses right on the road, you see them set back a certain portion. So oftentimes those setbacks from the front and the back and the sides, and so you need to comply with those setbacks. I would also to see once you get into however many parcels you're going to build on here, right? Now, what is a builder going to be able to pay for this? Hey, Mr. Builder, what are you looking for if I was to do, and I would be careful as to who you're gonna contact right away, especially because this is on market. Make sure that you don't divulge too much info to them because you don't want them to go around and try and buy it themselves and entitle it themselves if you're going to try and take on this project.
Hmm.
But then you go, hey, Mr. Builder, if I was to build a subdivision for you, what kind of lots are you looking for? How big? What's the price point per lot? And then once you know the price point per lot and what they're willing to pay, right? Say they're willing to do half acre parcels, right? And say they go, yeah, I'll pay all said and done, I'll pay 25,000 per parcel, right? And so now you have at least a price point to figure out if this is feasible or not. Like, is this actually going to make you money or not?
Hmm.
Right? Because you're going to put a lot of money, time, energy, effort into clearing all these trees, building a road, bringing the sewer down, getting it teed off, bringing in all the zoning restructure, the surveyor is going to cost a lot of money because they're going to all of a sudden now be building out a whole subdivision. So they're going to cost some money. You're going to have to get soil tests and all these, right? So there's a lot of different pieces that you'll need to kind of move on when you're looking at putting together a subdivision similar to this. But that's essentially where I would start is I would look at feasibility. And by feasibility, I mean, hey, county, A, would you allow this? B, what's the process and structure behind this? Figure that out. Because if the county goes, no, will only allow three houses on that parcel, dead, done,
Yeah.
right? Won't happen. Will they more than likely allow more? Yes, probably. It'll improve the tax base. It's in the middle of the city, whatever, right? More than likely, they're probably going to approve it. The next I would go to is a developer, and I would start calling a couple different developers. Don't just go with one. Get like two or three, four or five, and say, hey, if I bring you I'm looking at a piece of land in this county. It's right in town. My plan is to entitle it. What size lots are you looking for, and how much are you willing to pay for those lots? That will give you an end margin or end like gross revenue price. And then you can start working your numbers back from there.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden, hey, I'm willing to give you 25,000 per acre or 25,000 per lot, right? And let's say you get, how many is this? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Let's just say you get 15 lots in there. I mean, it's at 375,000. I mean, I can tell you right now that's not going to work. But if that was maybe a bad example, maybe they need to be worth more than 25,000. Maybe they're worth 50,000. Let's go 50,000. All right. So now all of a sudden you have 750. 750,000 is what they're willing to pay for these lots, right? In the count in this area here. And then you have 750 and then you subtract your purchase price. Let's say you get it for 250. Let's say you get a little bit of a haircut on it, right? You're a really good negotiator, Jeff, and you knock them down 50,000.
That's me. Yeah.
You got it. I got it. I trust in you, trust in you.
Right.
All right. So now all of a sudden you have $500,000 to do everything else, right? Which sounds like a lot. But once you get the road in, the trees cleared, the surveying, the soil test, the grading, see what, and also too, that's the other, I guess that's the other question I think of right away. Ask the ask the builders if they're willing to do dirt work or horizontal work, or do they purely want to go vertical? And what that means is like the grading and everything else in there. Like if you say, hey, then they, or excuse me, if they say, well, as long as I'm able to, come in there, there's a road in there, all the utilities are at that road, and it's cleared, I'll handle the rest. Okay, cool. Sweet. Now you don't have to do the horizontal dirt work. You don't have to worry about bringing utilities actually onto the parcel, right? So there's a lot of nuances in that versus say somebody who's like, no, I want it to be 100% shovel ready where all I have to do is pull permits and go vertical. Okay, great. Then you have to do the grading and the leveling and the drainage and all that stuff. And you have to get drainage assessments and stormwater assessments and all sorts of different fees and assessments and tests in order to try and get that to be ready for it.
Okay.
And then you just have to back out all of your costs out of that and have a very large contingency sum
Okay.
too.
So when you do subdivides, are you doing value add? Like, are you doing you're adding utilities, you're doing sewer and everything with those projects that you're currently working on? Or,
You you can. You can. Um, right now, I just subdivide and go. So I
so you're
test
selling
for
raw?
yep, I test for
Okay.
soil. I get a survey to essentially make sure that, hey, here's your new APN, right? So then you can legally sell it. And I'll do a soil test to test for septic and housing builds, perk test.
Per test, yeah.
Yep. And so I will do those for my subdivides and then sell them at that point. So I will do the value add in that sense of I'm doing the survey, I'm doing the soil tests. And so figuring out exactly, like how far down the development path you want to go, right? Like I could add driveways, I could add wells, right? Or pull city water, or what in this case, the one that I'm thinking of is in Indiana, it's city water anyway, city water and sewer anyway. So you don't have to really worry about the septic piece of it. But yeah, the more in general, the more that you add value add, the higher and greater your return is. However, there is a tipping point. So you have to figure out where, it's kind of like a house, right? You overinvest in a house, right? You go in and you spend $10,000 to paint it, and you put in new cabinets in the kitchen, you put new flooring down, you put counters down, right? And you redo all the landscaping, right? And then you sell the house in a year. Well, it hasn't had time to appreciate in value, right? So now all of a sudden you're upside down on all of that. Versus if you just put in countertops and put a little paint on, you would have been positive, still in the green, right? Same thing with
Hmm.
land. You can overinvest in a piece of land for sure. Just because you put money into it doesn't mean you're going to get money out of it. And that's a really important piece to note. Just because you put money into it does not mean you're going to get the money back out of it. So, something to kind of think about in that sense. Normally, when I go there, I will try and do a little bit of value add, but I'm not normally going super deep on that. Hey, Sean, you have a question or comment? I'm all
Yeah.
ears.
Hey, everybody. Um, yeah, just when it comes down to like looking at your subdivides. Let me turn my camera on real quick. I was just making the girls some breakfast. Um, I I was kind of curious. So, you're like, is this needed? Is this subdivision needed? Like, are you guys looking at anything where it's like, hey, how many people are moving into whatever city you guys are looking at, Kaukauna now? Um, and trying to see like, hey, is this an actual thing that's needed? What's going on? Like, is there any back end due diligence as far as, I don't know, asking Claude or ChatGPT or Google, like how many people are moving to this area, moving in, moving out, and stuff like that. I think of that as like a different form of due diligence and being like, is it needed? Is it worth me putting a $500,000 into all of this?
Mm-hmm. 100%. And like the subdivide that I'm under contract for right now, it's in Indiana. And those are exact questions that I asked is, okay, cool, this is here. It's feasible. The numbers work. But at the end of the day, will I just be putting my money into something and then I can't sell it at the back end because the demand isn't there, right? So that's a really important piece also to really note is that just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it, right? And also to fitting in with the area is super important. So if you have, and I know we kind of talked about like houses versus like mobile home park or like versus like a mobile home or manufactured home, right? In neighborhoods, right? But say a subdivide, right? If I subdivide it into 5 acre parcels, which is kind of what I'm gonna do on my Indiana property, I'm gonna subdivide it into 5 acre parcels. Well, I need to make sure that the demand for 5 acre parcels is even there, right? Because I can cut it up, but then what happens if I sit on it for 2 years? Well, that sucks, right? I mean, okay, cool. You maybe broke even at the end, or maybe you made some money at the end, but it took you 2 years to turn that, right? To turn that over. So, what I normally do is I definitely do due diligence on it. I normally do due diligence before I'm in contract or potentially after, like shortly after. I'll do a preliminary while I'm not in contract if I think something is going to work on that end. And by that is I will call a realtor or two in the area and say, hey, I'm just kind of curious, like, what's your take on like the like need for land that's about 5 or so acres? Like, is that going a lot right now? I have a piece of land right now and I'm looking at, potentially subdividing it. Um, and I won't tell the realtor what piece or if I own it or not or whatever it is. I'll just say, hey, I'm looking at potentially, getting a value on this and seeing, if the demand is there. Have you seen a high demand for 5 acre parcels in this county or in this area? And they'll tell you, any good agent who's going to be on there, they'll tell you. I'm like my Indiana one, I called 3 or 4 different agents to try and get their opinion on, hey, is this a hot area or is this like going to sit forever and like, might not sell for 3 years? And so that's a really good point, Sean, is that you definitely want to make sure that the demand is there and that what's called the sell-through rate, or we call it an STR in land, right? People in the housing space know STR is short-term rentals, but in the land space, it's called it's called sell-through rate, and that's really important because lenders and getting funding also too will sometimes turn it down depending on the sell-through rate. If you have a area that has a 30% 6 or 12 month sell-through rate, they're probably going to give you less value on that or less LTV. They might go from 50%, they might go to 30% LTV, right? So they might only lend on 30% of the value of that land because the sell-through rate is so poor. Versus if you go like someplace that has like over 200% sell-through rate on in a 12-month period, like they're probably more likely to be willing to lend you up to that 50%, 60%, whatever it may be, because it's turning, it's really fast. Like people are buying in this area. It's super popular. Those type of parcels are certainly. very that's like another thing to look at. And that's a really good point, Sean, that just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it because there has to be some sort of demand for it. So if there's big demand for this one and big demand for these like half acre lots, I mean, you might be able to do less. I don't know, but we'll just say these half acre lots, like if there's big demand for it, then it might be worth doing. But that's another essentially way to kind of kill the deal. And honestly, with subdivides, I try and kill it like death by a thousand paper cuts. I'm trying to kill the deal so many different ways. Is the agent doing it? Are my comps right? Are they accurate? Is the as is value accurate, right? Like if I can't get it to this margin, I cut it there, right? If I can't get lending on it, I might cut it, right? Like certain things for lending on it. And so I try and kill a deal as many times as I can before I get under contract for that. And some people in the land space will say just get under contract and then kill it after. That's fine, but generally speaking, subdivides are a little bit slower to move. And so I would rather play it that way, at least right now. That's more my jam, is to make sure that I can perform on those. And that's just my own personal opinion. Some people will say, oh no, I'm going to get under contract and then, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay, cool. I guess I just value my reputation and honesty more,
Yeah.
more than getting that because there's so many deals out there and so many pieces of land that are moving. It's just a matter like you'll find something. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, so
So
for that actual parcel, I actually went to Land Insights to find out sell-through rate before I that's how I
Hmm.
found that parcel is because I
Sweet.
found sell-through rates and it was selling well in that
Hmm.
area. And so I thought, oh, maybe this would actually be an option, to do a
Was
subdivide or go ahead.
Yeah. What was the 9 acres selling through, or did you put the acreage band to like a smaller, like half acre
Yeah,
quarter?
smaller acreage to actually build
Okay,
homes on. So that's why
cool.
when I
Okay,
saw the
good.
9 acres, I was like, oh, would this be a potential play if we develop this out? Because lots are selling for like 45 to 50.
Hmm.
And so I was like, oh, if we can, like we said, 15 lots out of that, I'm like, that might make sense.
Yeah, yeah. What was it actually 50? I was like totally pulling a number out. Was it
Oh,
actually
yeah,
50?
they were selling on average for about 45,000.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
I just
So,
Dr.
pulled a
Dirt
number
over
out
here.
yeah,
before.
you picked some good numbers.
Yeah. I don't know. I got tested two Zoom calls ago or maybe it was last Zoom for testing my comps and like what actual market value is and got that right. And so now I'm getting tested here. I'm getting lucky apparently. But Sean, you had another comment. Go ahead. You're gonna
Well,
say something.
I was actually thinking about something in the very beginning when we were looking at his parcel there, and then Mary Bell just hit it too about the green space. She threw a comment in there talking about green space and talking with the CDC, and I've also seen a lot of deals fall through because of that similar thing and protected classes of trees. So, like, even where I live here in San Diego, there are certain development plays that we want to do because we're very limited on land over here. But if
Nice.
we have some of the protected classes of trees, like even one, you could go from building a 40 unit complex to now just having like a triplex. You know what I mean? It's like there's a
Mm.
huge thing. Like you got to really there's a lot more due diligence I think people initially think about. And then protected wildlife. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
nailed it. Good
Protected
job,
wild.
Maribel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice work, Maribel. Absolutely. Those are certainly like other nuances too that will kill those deals, right? And that's why, I say like I want to try and kill it as many ways as I can because like protect the wildlife. Like I know a gentleman who he ended up buying a parcel down in Florida and it had tortoises on it. Well, you can't move those tortoises, or I mean, you can move them, but it's extremely expensive. It's like I think it was like 10,000 or 40,000 per tortoise or something like ridiculous. And then it has to go to a certain area, and so then you have to buy that land or the rights to put that tortoise on that land. Just all sorts of like crazy things. And essentially, he just bought the land and made it a tortoise sanctuary, and now other people are bringing their tortoises there and paying him to bring their tortoises there, right? So like it's so yeah, just like so crazy nuanced that like I never would have thought about a tortoise that has to be moved in order for a development to go and happen. And there's mitigation credits too. That's another thing that you'll run into a lot. Is if you're ever taking out any sort of wetlands or prairies or protected lands like that, you have to buy what's called mitigation credits. And I'm not a pro in mitigation credits. I know enough about them to be dangerous, but essentially think about it like if you're filling in a wetlands in one area, you have to protect and buy a credit that this piece of land will always stay a wetlands area. And so you have to buy a credit at another piece of land to protect it forever. So there's a lot of different like crazy nuances like that that can also kill deals. And that's why development is so hard. And I shouldn't say hard, it's nuanced. It's extremely nuanced. And that's I think I've said it before. I feel like entitlements are normally a home run or a strikeout. Using a nice baseball reference. They're either a home run or a strikeout. And I think that that's a whole different ball game where like I know a couple people who that's all that they do is entitlements. They do like two entitlements a year. And that's all that they do. So I would highly recommend Jeff to partner with somebody who does development and say, hey, I have this piece of land here. I've done preliminary due diligence on it. I think it'll work because of X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
Are you willing to partner on this to go through and check it out? And you'll
Cool.
find people for sure who are in that entitlement game or development game and take it from raw land all the way through. And I would, because they're going to be so much more knowledgeable than I am. I know the tip of the iceberg in terms of development and like what to look out for versus that's the whole field that they play in all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I
What
like
would you
it. I
propose
mean,
is the best way to find someone that does that?
um, well, I would start looking at different connections, connection points that you have. If you're in any sort of like, are you in sub two?
I am, yeah.
Okay, cool. I would post in there and see if anyone does development in Wisconsin.
Okay.
I would also to post, I would make a second separate post and I would put if anyone does entitlements because that might be another really good person because they might do entitlements anywhere or they might do, just because it's in Wisconsin, people are like, yeah, I do entitlements there. No, I don't. Okay, maybe, right? But I normally make it a little bit more broad and generic and I would say, hey, does anyone, I'm looking at a piece of land here, does anyone do entitlements for land? And then I would try and message them and figure out, hey, I have this piece of land that I'm looking at. It's in Wisconsin. Do you do entitlements in Wisconsin? Oh, you do. Sweet. Awesome. Or no, you don't. No, I don't do. Okay, well, crap. Do you happen to know of anyone who does entitlements in Wisconsin? And sometimes that can be um, a good way to try and network and brand out. Yeah, there you go. Sean put another really good thing in the comments there. Facebook groups in the city or state are always a good place as well. Looking at, hey, is there anyone there? I will say is that, just with anything, right? Vet the partner who you're going to be doing this with before discussing any sort of details on it.
I like to search the filter just like you do in sub two when you go back and you want to see, hey, has anybody asked about this before? The little
Little search
magnifying
bar.
glass.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So I'll do that, and then I'll do that in the specific groups. And then once I figure out what was going on, then I look into the person a little bit, and then my due diligence on them, and then I can reach out and I can figure out, okay, based on this person, does this look like somebody that's actually doing those things, or is that just somebody that was questioning it. So
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. I would say the biggest thing too is just make sure that, you're doing your due diligence on the person before you share all the details and they're not making sure that they just don't go around you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in another group called Leah. It's like a land investing academy with Sumner, Healy, and stuff like that too. And there's some guys in there that basically teach the subdivide entitlement process, and they do a lot of JV stuff. They seem to have a good track record and that kind of thing. And they're
Mhm.
pretty down to earth. You just ask them a question, and they're pretty straightforward with you. I haven't had any bad, spidey senses going off like this person's going to go around me or anything like that.
Good.
So happy to connect you if you want.
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually in Leah as well, so yeah,
Oh,
I'd love to connect with that.
okay, cool. I'll look for you in the Discord, and then I can probably just connect you guys that way.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, of course.
Boom. Getting things done. Love it. Appreciate it. Sweet. Man, you guys are troopers. Hour and 40 minutes in. I love it. Love it. Talking dirt. Talking dirt. Hold on though. One more thing though before we leave. Yeah, see, Camilla's already smiling. She knows. We gotta get it. We gotta get a photo. All right. So, yep, smile, Maribel. Awesome. Got it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. And as always, if you guys have any questions about land and dirt, you can always obviously reach out to me personally, but also to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So everyone have a great weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday.
Great. Thanks, Sam.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.